When I first learned about CPR, it was my junior year of high school in my health science class. I was super nervous at first because CPR is such a big thing and it can save multiple people's lives. But in the end, it actually turned out that CPR was very simple to learn in the end. Me and every other student in the class actually learned CPR very quickly, and we all became CPR certified like very fast. When you think about CPR, you think of doctors, nurses. Those are the only people that know how to perform CPR. But Website Newsroom conducted multiple surveys that ended February 1st, 2018, and those surveys stated that about 11% of the population actually know how to perform CPR correctly, and that's about 1/10 of the population. Today, I want to talk to you about the different aspects of CPR. First, I will talk to you about the history of CPR. Second, I will talk to you about when it should and should not be used. And third, I will talk to you about the pros and cons of CPR. Historians figured it wasn't that CPR wasn't invented that long ago, and Pro CPR stated on April 10th, 2019, CPR was invented in the 1960s. American Heart Association then started a program that allowed people to perform CPR more regularly and practice it more. JRSM stated in July 2005 William Cohen was the man that invented the electronic defibrillator. The defibrillator then increased the survival rate of most patients in hospitals to about 70%. I've now told you about the history of CPR. I will now talk to you about when it should and should not be used. CPR should only be used under certain circumstances if the person is unconscious, unresponsive, not breathing, or have irregular breath. And some reasons why they would not be breathing is because their airway is blocked by food or such. When you think of CPR, you think of the chest compressions or the rescue breaths. For me, when I was taught about it, they taught me think of the song "Staying Alive" when you're given the chest compressions, because that is the same beat that you give when you're pushing down on someone's chest. Uh, you should always use an AED when possible. So if someone does go unconscious and they're not breathing, you should always ask someone to go get an AED while you go give the chest compressions and rescue breath. The AED gives an electric shock to the patient, which can restart their heart, but it should never be used on someone under the age of 8 years old or younger. Now that I've told you about when it should and should not be used, I will talk to you about the pros and cons of CPR. CPR First Aid states on April 26, 2019, that CPR lowers the damage to the brain. And this is because when you perform CPR, you bring oxygen back to the blood, and the blood then goes to the brain, which allows the brain to still function during times. Some cons of CPR, though, are when you're giving CPR, you have to put pressure of about 125 pounds to the chest, and that can cause fractured ribs to happen. And the fractured ribs can then puncture holes into organs or different organs, and that can cause internal bleeding. I feel that it's always more necessary to perform CPR than not perform CPR, because when you're performing CPR, you always have the chance to save their life in the end. But if you don't, because you're afraid you'll break their rib, it'll always cause them to either die or not be able to make it. Today, I want to talk to you about the different aspects of CPR. I first talked about the history of CPR. I second talked about when it should and should not be used, and I third talked about the pros and cons of CPR. When I was in the junior year of high school, I should not have actually feared CPR as much as I did, because CPR is actually a really good thing for most people, and to me, I feel most people should learn about CPR from a young age so they have the chance to save a life when it comes down to it.